Hey guys, this is Faster U4 brought to you by FitLab, Tailwind Nutrition, Biomaxa and Capital Cycles. If you're a cyclist, you want to go faster? Then let's giddy up. Hey guys, welcome back to Fast U4 brought to you by FitLab, Tailwind Nutrition, Biomaxa and Capital Cycles. So, this will be a little bit different, a little bit of a different time of year. In terms of training and adjusting expectations and adjusting goals and thinking about events and all that stuff and making a plan. So I'll walk through how I sort of approach this time of year a little bit like that to hopefully help you make some decisions around that as well. We'll talk about the event that there was on the weekend. This, my friends, is an event. It is an example of what happens when you're at a low ebb of form but you still have to race, and how deep you have to dig. It was PNP Summer Series Race 5 in Upper Hutt, the final of the series. I did okay. I'll tell you what happened. I'll give you some thoughts and some data around power to weight to back up some assertions I've had around what you need to be at what level in these races. I've got some hot, spicy equipment talk. That's something I just changed to, and I noticed a big difference. I'll talk about some events coming up. So if you're looking at the screen, there's a picture of me coming down at the bottom of Wallaceville Hill in my Smurf-like attire. Photo credit Jason Gestro. Thank you very much. And speaking of equipment tweaks, there's one. I bought these Shimano S-Fire shoes, and I really like them. But here's a weird thing: they come with two things. They come with the bolts that bolt on the cleat. They're drilled out in the middle to save weight, which really, if you added it up, is probably like 2 grams. But I'll take it because it's cool. Actually, the top is kind of milled out a little as well, this kind of star shape for weight again. So that's cool. And the other thing they come with is their own socks. And it sounds a bit gimmicky, but and part of the reason they say is that it sort of like fits the shoe better or something. But I went and bought a whole lot of these because I found that they're nice and long, for one. They're the right sort of length. They're kind of, if your distance from your heel to your knee, they come about 1/3 of the way up there. So to me, that's about the right length, maybe slightly more than 30%. I'm going to say 37.5% up your leg. It's a nice length, and they're made of this bamboo fiber, which is nice and stretchy. Doesn't get all pilled up in the wash. So, and lastly, give me the nice FitLab blue shoe and sock thing going on. If you're looking at the picture, you know what I'm talking about. So let's look at what actually happened at PNP Race 5, the final of the PNP Summer Series, which has sort of gone through autumn as well. And this was a race series that I hope they'll run again next year. If you're considering doing it, or sort of maybe done 1 or 2, the format I think has worked well. Gran Fondo, Medio Fondo. Gran being the longer, course is 80 to 120 Ks. The Medio, usually, 20 or 40 Ks shorter than that. And a mass start format, so everyone, if you're in Gran Fondo, all start at the same time. And that's good. Lots of huge range of ability in the group then. And in a race like the weekend's just been, if there is a strong course feature like a climb early up, it does separate out pretty quickly. Now I'll tell you I'll give you some examples with some data, what you need to be in the front selection in a race like this with a feature like that. This, by the way, might also come in handy for those people that are thinking about North Island Series races in the spring, because That's got some good climbing features in it, most notably the climb just out of Martinborough. I think it was round 3 last year, Windmill Hill or something like that, which is a solid 10 to 12 minutes FTP climb. And if there's a feature where you want to have good power to weight, that's it. But also this race on the weekend, which was Blue Mountains, we did 4 times, 4 ascents in the Grand Fondo. Of course, just over 100 kilometres. There was a 3 or 4 or 5 kilometre section of controlled from the start at the Cosy Club through to kind of near the bottom of Blue Mountains. So nothing much happening there, and then it was predictably all on. I was kind of scared because my form's at a low ebb, because I'm just going to start my build up for spring soon, but now. So it was bad vibes for me, but I kind of held on. So let's look at the race, how it came. I've gone ahead and made a Strava segment, which if you're looking, you'll see in there if you did the Grand Fondo, because the results aren't up yet. So I've had to use that as kind of a way of getting some results. You'll see what I mean in a minute. So right on almost exactly 3 hours it took us, 103 Ks, close to 1,000 metres of climbing, 120 metres. It burnt through 2,399 kilojoules, I'm going to say. Wow, maybe 9 McDonald's hamburgers. Big day at the office. When you think about it, that's like, you know, consuming in caloric terms, oxidizing 1 hamburger every 20 minutes. It's pretty good. All right, now effective power of 278 watts, actual power of 222. That'll be skewed down a little bit by this part at the start for the first, more like 15 minutes, where it was controlled on the flat heading up through the traffic up to the first climb. So as an overview of the race, that climb was always going to be decisive, and it was. Split up hugely on the first climb, again on the second climb. Third and fourth, not so much. The groups were pretty much determined by then. So let's look at, and maybe as an overview of the race, people who were there will know this themselves. In fact, if I just go and look at the Strava of the ride, this is people who have uploaded onto Strava their rides, and it's for the Grand Fondo circuit that I created. I called it Blue Mountains. Oh, so that's the Blue Mountains, sorry, there's the, this one here, PNP Summer Series 2018 R5 Grand Fondo, that's what it's called, if you want to find it on Strava. So obviously this isn't the full results because this doesn't include people that haven't uploaded. And the winner was Brendan McGrath. He broke away in the third climb up Blue Mountains, pretty much soloed away on that climb. Up until that point, the group was me plus maybe 10 quite good riders: Boston Bright, Max Wickens, Craig Chambers, Ian Paynton, Josh Curtis, guys like that on the third time up Blue Mountains. A lot of the, I could have been the last time actually, last time up Blue Mountains, a lot of the, maybe 4 of the young, good, power to weight guys like Max Wickens, Boston Bright, broke away and went away on the climb, while the kind of big time trialist guys like me, Ian Paynton, Craig Chambers, couldn't match that acceleration. You know, probably hitting 6+ watts per kilo for a few minutes of that climb. We can't do that. We're more like 5 watts per kilo kind of guys at our best. We can do it for a long time, and we can do it on the flat, which those smaller guys can't. But on the climbs, and then when it gets steep, they have a little advantage there. And that's bike racing at the top. Craig Chambers broke away from us and time trialed like a savage. I think he caught those young guys, and I don't actually know what happened in the final. I suspect he may have sprinted them. So good for Craig. I rode with a couple of other guys, an old mountain biker whose name I can't remember right now, and another guy from Tar Babies, and we swapped it out. Probably pulled in places 6 through 8, something like that. As I say, full results probably come out on PNP.org.nz in the next couple of days, I hope. So what did I learn? Well, the main part was this climb, Blue Mountains climb to community sign, and I've looked through the data. My data's all up there if you want to see it, but I weigh 80 kilos at the moment, and I put out 404 watts and 405 watts, I think, respectively, for both these climbs. So bang on, pretty much 5 watts per kilo. And that is always for sort of regional level, club level, Wellington level, to be at the sharp end what you need to be in the selection. Guys like who are really at the top, like Dave Rowlands and Brendan McGrath, can do a little more than that, and they can hold it, and they can do it on the flat, something that smaller guys can't. I'm not quite at that level, not yet, but I have some thoughts. So 5 watts per kilo, guys. If you want to be in the front selection, target that. It's pretty obvious, but you just multiply your weight times 5. That will give you a good power target. It can be that sort of level. You need to be able to hold for usually 5 minutes plus. And it can be a little over your FTP. So let's say your FTP for an 80 kilo rider is 390, 380. It's probably what it is for me. That can be a little over that. You can sort of sneak over that FTP for those periods of time. Anything 10 minutes plus, your FTP really needs to be at or above that 5 minute level. There's not many climbs that are that long, but there are some. And if there are in a race, multiply your weight by 5, that's your level. The guys who in the next tier down, maybe 15th to sort of 30th place, that sort of gruppetto were climbing anywhere 4 to 4.5 watts per kilo. From all the data I've looked at data for a few guys, 4.3, 4.4, and that will get you that sort of level. I know that's kind of a subjective way of looking at it, but I just want to put some sort of targets around it. So if you look at, you've got a power meter, another benefit of having a power meter, you can actually target those wattages. So that's what was happening in the race. That's how it shook out, and I was a little bit pleased to just hold on for a top 10 place to finish first in my age group, and then I picked up enough points over the series to get third overall. It was a little bit weird. Me and a lot of other people expected at the prize giving that there was going to be prizes for, or at least a podium ceremony for, the individual age groups, and I think the sort of implication from reading the rules and things on the website was that would happen. Whether or not that was intended from the start, I don't know, but a lot of people said that, and if I have a suggestion, it would be that next time there doesn't have to be money, there doesn't have to be a hoopla, but there's probably worthwhile giving some credit, a photo, something like that, for the podium for the age groups, as well as just the point situation overall for the medio and grand fondo. Certainly enough riders in most groups. It's not like there's just one or two. There's always a really good podium spread in most of those age grades. That would be my sort of feedback, but a good series nonetheless. Thank you for putting it on PNP. So, I have announcements, people. I tried a new thing, which is anyone. So here's the way racing tyres have gone. I'm going to talk about clinchers, particularly. Clinchers, if you don't know, that's what most people run these days. It's where you have an inner tube and you put your tyre on, you get it. A tubular, if you don't know what that is, that's where the tube and the tyre are all kind of one thing. You just mount it on the rim. It doesn't have hooks at the edge of the rim like it does for a tubular. For a clincher, hence the clinching part, just sits on there and you glue it on with the actual glue, proper tubular glue you get. There's different. So these, what I'm just going to talk about briefly, applies to both, but especially clinchers. Now, the way tyres have gone over the last couple of years, everyone in racing used to run Continental GP4000s. That was kind of like the standard. And everyone went from sort of 23 section to 25 section, and all of that was good. Then came along a couple of years ago the Vittoria Corsa series of tyres. If you're looking at the screen, I'll just bring up the Vittoria website here. Here they are, 4 of them. And they blew away the competition because they have a compound and maybe a design, I don't know, that's quite different and reduces rolling resistance a lot. Something like anywhere from sort of 3 to 5 watts per tyre on average in the testing. You can look at Blood About bikes online where it's all tested. There's a lot of test data published on there. Okay, so then everyone switched to that. Then there's kind of a further refinement, which is there's 4 kinds. You've got your Corsa Speed, your Corsa Control. There is a Tri one, but we'll just talk about the road focus ones. Those 3. And I switched from the Corsa to the Corsa Speed. What's the difference? The Corsa Speed, as the name would suggest, swaps a little wet weather control for better straight line speed, and it does that, I think, through 2 ways, probably some sort of compound difference, but most importantly the tread. And if you think of, like, if you look at a Vittoria Corsa, the thing that kind of stands out is how it's got these longitudinally running running strips in the tyre, how the tread runs. If you look at a picture online, you see what I'm talking about. But the Corsa Speed has one solid strip in the middle, about half, third to a half of the tyre width wide, and that gives you an extra something like about 2 watts less drag per tyre. Alright, so what am I talking about all this? Let's say you're running a good control tyre, Conti GP 4000, you switch to the speed version of the Corsa, like I've done, you could be looking at 5 watts plus per tyre less rolling resistance, maybe around 10 watts total. And that sounds super marginal, but you know, 10 watts is quite easily the difference keeping on the wheel for an extra, 10 seconds or something like that in a crosswind. It could really work for you. So I did 2 things. I switched to that, and also switched to a 23 section instead of a 25 section. 2 reasons. The Vittoria Corsa actually ends up, when it's inflated, they're a little larger than they say on the box. So a 23 ends up more like a 25. 25 ends up more like a 27 or something like that. So there's that, and also there's a little bit of a weight difference. You might save 20 grams per end, 40 grams in total or something like that. For climbing, that might be important. And I really noticed the rolling resistance difference. So here's my hot tip. Try the Vittoria Corsa Speed, go to Capital Cycles and try some out. I think they're really good. The downside is that they are probably not as robust, especially as the Contis, who had a reputation as really robust tyres, and they were. The sidewalls, especially on the Vittoria, they're pretty weak. They get scuffed easily, so you have to check them more. But if you're willing to trade that robustness for race speed, I actually think it's worth it. You can choose the skin wall or the kind of grey wall. The grey wall, I think, actually adds about 5 grams per tyre. Just saying, but they do look pretty mean. All right. Let me just briefly talk about this next phase. This next phase, for most people, or a lot of people, in New Zealand races, is all about building aerobic endurance and muscle strength. A lot of time in your aerobic endurance zone, developing a lot of things that come from sitting in that zone. Google it if you like. Heart stroke, blood volume, lung capacity, mitochondrial density. You're going to layer in some sub-threshold work in there, which gives you a boost to all of the above. And here's the last thing, weights. So, especially for guys who are 40 plus. Hot tip, do the weights. So you're not going to like it. Here's the move everyone does. The move everyone does is they get the gym membership, they go twice, they feel the muscle soreness associated with starting at the gym, they don't like it, and they make it too hard on themselves, they don't come back. Here's the one big hot tip I'd say with doing weights. One, really focus on, I think, exercises that are cycling related and actually heavy. This notion, and I read it on a Facebook post about 3 days ago, it still persists, that for endurance athletes, there is this notion which is completely outdated, that you need to be doing a lot of reps, 15 to 20 reps, and a lot of sets. That's outdated. The mode these days is more 8 to 10 reps, pretty much as heavy as you can do. Simple, maybe 3 sets. Now, even that's a little bit simple because there is good evidence now that genetic factors will determine somewhat how you respond to weight training. So it's not as simple as I say, but for most people, sure, smaller reps, higher weights is the way to go. I want you to get in and do some squatting, some hamstring curls, some leg presses. If you want to do some core maintenance and stuff like that, that's great. But here's the reason I say just simple is because you've got to do it, like get it done. So here's what I do. Said this before, say it again. Figure out a gym that's on your route home from your ride, stop in there and do it on your way home. You're in all of your glorious kit if you want to, because the thing that will stop you going to the gym is having to get in the car and having to do it after dinner and having to put on the special gym shoes and the outfit and the blah, 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 blah. Just go in, get it done. I timed it yesterday, in and out, 18 minutes flat, baby. And I wasn't hurrying, I was just doing my usual set. It's helped me a lot. I built a lot of muscle strength. It's helped me a lot with strong surges on the flat and time trialing. So I don't want to hear this thing where people announce that they understand the value and then just don't do it, and they don't do it because of all the things that make it difficult to get to the gym. Just do it. Do it in your bike shoes. Do it in your Lycra. And if you don't want to do that, if you want to sissy out, well, that's fine. But then don't complain at the end of the season about how you thought you should have had more power on the flat because you didn't do your weights, you didn't do your gym work because you made it all too hard for yourself. I don't want to hear that. 3 words. Get it done. That is my strong announcement when it comes to getting weights done. And this time of year, it's more important than any other because when you have to do a lot of it and try to enjoy it. You know, getting in the gym can be a good thing. You can, if it's usually warm and kind of goaty smelling in there, and if you can deal with that kind of level of mildew and filth, you can actually sort of relax into it. It's like when you go to, you ever been to one of those hot pool areas in maybe Taupo or something like that, and you go to one of those kind of like hot pools, the private ones, and you sink into it and it crosses your mind at first that there may have been horrifying things happen in this pool prior. There may be some chum in that water that you don't want to think about. There might be kind of just algae and stuff in there that grows. But then what happens is you kind of sink into the water and you have a soak and it's nice, and then you shower. That's what you do. So just let your mind go for a while. Same thing applies to gym equipment, in my view. Relax. All right, next bit is events. It's looking like North Island Series is back on. That's going to be a biggie. I want to try to win. Going to be getting together a Fit Lab team. Maybe 2. Dum dum dum. There will be the Tour of Taranaki coming up in June. If you haven't tried it, 3-day stage race, 4 or 5 stages or something, Taranaki, reputation for being windy and hard. Strongly recommend doing it, especially if you don't like windy flat races. Do it because it will make you stronger. There is the Kapiti Winter Series probably coming up in June, July, August. You're into North Islands, there is the 5 Passes tour I'm thinking about doing. There's around Taupo, everyone likes. There's mountain bike events like Whaka and Hoka around about November. There is the club, like Wellington Masters Cycling Club, kicking off weekly or even more than that racing from August. So my hot tip is think about these things and which ones motivate you. Make a plan, and maybe you have A and B races. Try to cluster the A races so that your form is right. And think about a build-up if you're serious about races that are in that September, October, November time frame especially. Begin your build-up now. It's going to be hard, guys. There's going to be days where it's cold. There's going to be days where it's windy. There's going to be days where you're going to be on the indoor trainer, Zwifting, and have a plan, have a structure, and stick to the plan, and it'll work out for you. So that's what I have to say. As always, if you would like a plan or testing from me, you can go to fitlab.co.nz or email me, steve@fitlab.co.nz. As always, this is brought to you by FitLab. Tailwind, Nutrition, Biomaxa, and Capital Supplements, and I will see you probably on the weekend.